What you see here is the home page of the Knowledge Center. The home page has tiles for each topic area for which you will find leading practice materials. We'll start by describing how to navigate the Knowledge Center. First, you can click on a specific tile to drill down into those materials. Second, you can put in search terms within this search bar to locate materials. And you can also locate materials using our catalogs. I'll show you those catalogs in a moment. First, I want to highlight some key materials that are in the resources section. We have a set of acronyms and glossary for AQC members to align on. We also have a regulatory references page. To highlight that page, this gives you a way to understand how we manage change control. There's two tables, and the first table gives you a list of the major reference resources that are used. These are regulations and guidance documents across various agencies such as EMA, ICH, US FDA, MHRA, and others. It's this second table on this page that helps to illustrate how we do change control. This lists upcoming regulations or guidance documents that are on our radar, or they may already be approved and they're currently under evaluation by Avoca to implement change control and update materials in the library. Also, under regulatory references, you will find our annual summit meeting materials. You'll find a page on our COVID Rapid Response Working Group materials. We have member donated materials that are in that location. We have a Kickstart package. We have leading change materials, which is associated with our monthly forums. We have webinar archives and our AQC Express newsletter. Now I'm going to go in and show you the catalog that is available for AQC materials. When you click on here, it takes you to this page. There are two versions of our catalog. The first version is this Wiki page that you're viewing. Every document is found listed on this Wiki page. There are 500 AQC leading practice materials on this page. Anytime you hover over a document, you'll see that document pop up on the right-hand side. And if that's the document you wish to access, all you have to do is click on it, and you'll see it in this window. When you see that document in that window, to download it, you can click this button here, and you'll be able to retrieve it in its original software, whether that was Microsoft Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. You can also, of course, download it as a PDF. Now, on this page, you'll find that we're looking at the top, which is just the communication-related tools. But if you were to click additional links, you can go down to sections that show you other leading practice materials. I just went to the inspection collection. There's over 50 documents in that list. So each one of these links takes you further down in the list. You'll also find over 110 resources through these links, which I mentioned earlier, like the webinars, our research reports, and so forth. Now, there's another version of our catalog that is downloadable, and that access is through this link. Now, this is the same snapshot of how many leading practice materials are in that other catalog. So it's the same number, the same list. However, there's some differences about this catalog. It is not hyperlinked because it would reside on your desktop. But another difference is there's these two additional tables at the end that are offered in this document. One is the summary of all the Knowledge Center documents by category and count. The other is the new documents in development. So that summary is shown on this table. If you're interested in knowing how many documents are around the topic of, say, patient engagement, you'll see there's 31 documents. And today, there's 496 documents. That number and that makeup changes all the time due to change control. When we either retire documents, we might combine them, or we may be introducing new documents as a result of each of the work streams that are active. You'll also see those new documents that are in development on this table. These are not yet in the Knowledge Center, but they're in development through our work streams. So they may be inspection related, they may be pharmacovigilance and safety reporting related, provider qualification. And you can tell as I'm highlighting the document IDs, these are risk-based quality management and site quality. The document IDs give you a clue to what work stream they fit within. So that is how you can use the catalogs to find materials to help navigate around the Knowledge Center. At this point, we're going to start drilling down to show materials that are in the Knowledge Center. The first section I'm going to address is quality oversight. There's over 220 leading practice materials in this section. Based on our research, reviewing hundreds of documents on this topic, we found that there are 8 drivers for effective quality oversight. That include topics like governance, technical oversight, process, communication, etc. Each one of them has a tab. We also have a tab for our oversight capability maturity model that you can use to assess where you have strengths or weaknesses for effective oversight. And then the model will point you in the direction of leading practice materials to overcome where you have weaknesses. Let's drill down into a few of these sections. First, let's start with governance. Under the topic of governance, you'll see that we have further subdivided all of the documents into other topic areas like general governance, sourcing models, governance, committee constructs, and so forth. So let's go into one of these documents and get an idea of what these look like. Avoca reviewed many governance committee charters. So let's show you what an executive governance committee charter looks like. Each charter document has the same general structure. It includes a mission statement, primary goals and objectives, principles of operating. It lists the committee chairpersons, executive sponsors, membership such as core and ad hoc members, decision-making models. Most governance committees tend to use a quorum for making decisions, but if you wish to find another decision-making model, you can go to Governance Tool 3. It also includes meeting guidelines and a meeting schedule. And if you want to find common standing agendas for governance committees, you can go to Communication Tool 18. If you scroll down further, you can see that's the end of the document. You can very quickly use this document and sign off to develop your charter. So that's under the topic of governance. I'll give you an idea of the kinds of documents we have for technical oversight. They span across the topic of overarching the end-to-end process. It could be program or project specific. It could be functional area specific, technology-based, technical clinical services, or when you're providing oversight of experts and expertise that you have hired for your trial. Whenever you see this word view more, that means there's only 6 being shown of many. So to understand what is available from a functional area perspective, you can click on that and you'll see that we have leading practices for effective oversight of study startup activities, monitoring. We have it for enrollment, data management, biostatistics, medical writing, regulatory, pharmacovigilance, quality assurance audits, and study closeout. Each one of these gives you instructions on a leading practice for effective oversight for that function, the activities, and the deliverables. You can also gather the qualifications and experience using the A tools that are associated with the parent document. So you document what expectations you have of a CRO for the people assigned by title. And then on page 2, they can complete that with the names of the individuals. You also have what we call the B tools, where you can document feedback that is very concrete around the specific activities and deliverables. So in this case, for pharmacovigilance, it may be around safety reporting or case processing, etc. So that gives you an idea of what we have under functional. Let me do one more section here for technical clinical services. You're going to find a leading practice for third-party startup and oversight, and then effective oversight for central labs with the additional A and B documents, IXRS, ECG, medical imaging, biomarker labs, clinical supply providers, bioanalytical labs, ECOA providers, patient recruitment and retention, and clinical trial home nursing provider oversight. So that gives you an idea of what's available for technical oversight. I'll show one more under process oversight, and then we'll move out of this section. So under process oversight, we have a leading practice that is frequently downloaded around our quality audit process. This audit process includes a checklist for what to review during a site audit, during a provider audit, during a CRO audit. And it describes how to prepare for audits, how to conduct audits, and how to close out audits. When you're following this process, it references use of additional tools that go with it. So it suggests you should have a quality audit plan, and we offer that template, a quality audit agenda and checklist, an audit schedule, and we have site quality audit report template, as well as a provider quality audit report template. So this gives you an idea of just 3 tabs that are available for you under the topic of quality oversight. And we'll now move back to the home page. The next section we're going to address is the quality agreement section. Under this topic, you'll see that Avoca has developed 35 specific modules to enable our users to create a fit-for-purpose quality agreement. 14 of those modules are considered to be fundamental modules and are in a continuous document, which is the AQC quality agreement template. You can get to that clicking here or down here. Once you do that, you can then add additional modules around fundamental elements that offer detailed text for topics like inspections, audits, and standards, or functional area-specific text in defining quality for the functions such as for monitoring, data management, biostatistics, pharmacovigilance, etc. When you go into that quality agreement, you'll see that we have a title page, instructions, and that's common in our documents. If you see blue text, we offer instructions on how to use that template. And then the table of contents is shown here. So those 14 fundamental modules are in this continuous agreement. The opening module includes these sections. Then we have a section on the scope of the quality agreement, applicable standards, governance of quality, communication, like escalation of issues and dealing with breach, risk management, protocol and process deviations, quality metrics, selection and training of personnel, oversight of third-party vendors, trial master file, audits and issue resolution, inspections, and performance and control of trial-related activities. What you'll find in here is you can easily do a search and replace to insert the sponsor name as well as the CRO name. And we also offer clues to where to place those additional modules. So for example, Quality Agreement Module 4A would logically fit in this location in the template. So that's the quality agreement. We're now going to look at provider qualification. In this section, you will find a collection of standards and tools to qualify a wide range of provider services and technologies, whether they are the traditional CRO functional services like monitoring, data management, etc. It might be technical clinical service providers like different types of labs, medical imaging, IXRS, or it may be around e-clinical and mobile service providers like electronic informed consent, mobile healthcare provider visits, telemedicine. Each of these tends to come as a set of 4. That includes the set of standards for qualifying the provider, as well as 3 tools. We're going to show you what the standards look like by looking at the core standards. So these core standards apply to all of those providers, and they address topics like privacy and personal data protection, training of personnel, computer systems management, risk management, etc. So there are 188 core standards across these 14 categories shown here. Each of the standards is set up as a table with a numbering system, title, description, mapping to regulations and guidance, and in some cases, there are user instructions. Through this numbering system, you're able to track how each of the tools maps back to the standards. So for the Request for Information questionnaire tool, you will find that there are questions around each one of these standards. And at an aggregate level, you will find that the scorecard and visit checklists that are used as part of qualification will map back to the standards. So they tend to come as a set of 4, as shown here. You will also find at the bottom of this page that we offer up tools that support the process of qualification. That process is shown in this document here. When you qualify providers, then you can document it in this assessment report template to list all of the activities that you completed to do that qualification. And then you can track provider assessments at the study level or at the program level using this tool. And you can use this tool to track providers that are on your approved provider list. And you see there are other materials as well. So that is the provider qualification materials that are available to AQC members. We're now going to look at the inspection readiness materials. In this section, you will find 2 types of documents. You'll find tools and you will find industry intelligence materials. Let's look at what that will offer for members. So under the tools, you'll see there's a set for supporting ongoing GCP compliance, for preparing for an inspection between the sponsor and CRO, to get the sites prepared for inspections, during the inspections, and follow-up to the inspections. In this section here, we'll look at the most frequently downloaded document in this collection. Our members really felt that this inspection preparation checklist was very valuable to them. It's an Excel document with workbooks listing all the different topic areas that are targeted during an inspection and giving you a checklist of what you should have ready for that inspection. It was so popular that our members asked if we could build in macros to create a dashboard so that they could see where they stand with regard to their degree of inspection readiness. So what you see here are all the topic areas for which we have checklists, whether it's IT systems, monitoring, regulatory, etc. And when you complete those checklists, what it will offer you is a dashboard to tell you how far along you are in the degree of inspection readiness. So there are 230 items across these checklists. So for example, for biostatistics, if you've completed all 13 of those items in that checklist, you will have seen yourself go from red to yellow to green. So that is the most frequently downloaded and favorite document in this collection for inspections. But you will also find materials to help you kick off your inspection team. We have a storyboarding template, as well as logistics management and other topics. And that is just under the inspection preparation for sponsor and CRO. You'll also find additional materials like the do's and don'ts during inspection interviews, as well as inspection preparation at the site level. So those are what we call tools that are available. We also have industry intelligence content. In this section, we provide for our members regulatory industry intelligence. Currently, there are reports for 6 agencies as shown here: the US FDA, MHRA, EMA, China, Japan, and Health Canada. And we continue to expand this for our members. Our next ones will be for Australia and Brazil. Each one of these inspection readiness resources are a comprehensive collection of intelligence that comes from the agencies themselves, as well as member experiences. So this one is for the MHRA, which is the UK agency. And what you will find in here are direct links to MHRA references, such as their website, their blog, etc. And this document is focused on GCP inspections and pharmacovigilance inspections. They've been updated to be current to new guidance around COVID and remote inspections. They detail the types of inspections, the triggers, the approaches, and how they document findings. You will find in here member experiences. We have a section on 2016 to 2019, which reflect the traditional approaches to doing inspections. And then after the COVID pandemic, there's a separate section that is dedicated to remote inspections that address inspection experiences that occurred in 2020 onward. So this is a way for you to find industry intelligence around the agencies themselves, directly from those agencies, or from member experiences. The next section we're going to review is on site quality. This section includes over 40 leading practice materials that are designed to help sites in driving quality. They are built around a quality management system framework that was established within the AQC. Each one of these tiles is one of the elements of that quality management system framework. We are still building this out, so you can see areas where we have completed developing leading practices. The section that has the most materials is around policies and procedures. In this section, you will find leading practice materials for sites to help them with SOP development and management, investigator oversight and supervision, delegation of activities, source document management, IP management, protocol amendment and deviation management, electronic system user management, informed consent, ethics committee responsibilities, audits and inspections, and safety reporting. We also have a site quality agreement template. At the bottom of this page, you'll also see a collection of standards that we've established for conducting site qualification. The next section we'll be reviewing is on risk-based management. When we developed this section at member request, we were asked to focus on risk-based monitoring. Many of our members asked if we had a risk-based monitoring plan. So that was the first area of focus. When we started, we found that there were a lot of different perspectives on what is risk-based monitoring. As a result, we aligned on a risk-based monitoring framework. In this framework, which is shown here, you see 4 levels for monitoring. The first level that is shown in red, we call central statistical monitoring. That requires specialized programming and statistician experts to assist. It is not required by any regulatory authority, and not all companies use that means for monitoring. However, it will enable you to identify implausible data or other kinds of trends that will help you for your centralized monitoring. What is expected is what's shown in green, central data monitoring. This is where you identify factors that are critical to quality and the risks to those factors, and establish quality tolerance limits for those. All of the activities that are performed, shown in red and green, will then provide insight for the individuals who are responsible for doing remote site monitoring, which is shown in purple. Remote site monitoring focuses on site-specific data and documents. And everything in this black box we consider to be centralized monitoring. That information then feeds for those individuals who are responsible for on-site monitoring. It feeds key information to support them so that they can do targeted and triggered review of site-specific documents and data. After aligning on that framework, we established a process for how to build a risk-based monitoring plan, which is shown here. We also built a risk-based monitoring plan template, and this template aligns to expectations that FDA provided to the industry in one of their guidance documents. We also offer centralized monitoring procedural standards and subject data sampling methods. After we focused on risk-based monitoring, it was suggested that we focus on how to de-risk a protocol. We built a process on how to go about doing that, where you focus on specific areas that are shown here, whether that's around systems, feasibility, eligibility criteria, etc. So this is the process document for doing that. And then we have a checklist that supports that. And that checklist aligns to those topic areas that I just highlighted. So you will see in here questions in this checklist to consider when you're reviewing your protocol, whether it's around process and tools, around systems, around the study subject, feasibility, eligibility criteria, and so forth. The last section is on integrated risk management, where we've developed a process for identifying the factors that are critical to quality and the risks to those factors, and how to validate that logic, and also to identify quality tolerance limits and to provide the rationale for those limits. So this is the process document for doing that, and then you can collect all of that information in this document, which is a template. There's also an integrated quality risk management plan template, a provider risk rating workbook, and an integrated risk tool that gives you many approaches to identifying risk, assessing risk, controlling risk, etc. And then we also have a diversity workbook. So that is the risk-based quality management section of the Knowledge Center. There are also additional sections around patient engagement. There's over 35 leading practice documents that address topics like using surveys to get patient input, online communities, focus groups, and other mechanisms. We also have a leading practice process for how to develop a high-quality protocol, and there are 5 very detailed stages from identifying specific scientific questions, developing a scientifically rigorous, site-feasible, and patient-attractive study design, authoring the protocol, getting functional area input, and then putting that protocol through a protocol review committee review and quality control, as well as assessing the whole end-to-end process. There's also a section on pharmacovigilance. This is our newest section of the Knowledge Center. And in here, you will find that we're still adding materials. We have a pharmacovigilance safety agreement template that is available to members. And we're also developing a safety reporting resource that should be coming in the near future. We will now review the MCC leading practice materials. MCC was merged with the AQC, and all MCC metric sets, tools, and workgroup items have been migrated into the AQC Knowledge Center. To understand the valuable materials that are available to members, let's start by looking under the resources drop-down list to access the MCC catalog page. There are metric sets for a wide range of important activities and functions, from CAPAs to pharmacovigilance to vendor oversight. There are over 300 metrics defined. Some metrics are aligned to the portfolio level, while others are aligned to the study, country, or site level. The metrics are incorporated into various toolkits, most aligning with specific processes. In addition to that, there are leading practice educational materials. Before we look at a metric toolkit, let's review how the metrics were developed. The metric development framework shares a leading practice on how to create the metric toolkits. To put this in context, rather than starting with metric definitions, which may end up focusing on metrics that are easy to measure rather than the right metrics, this framework focuses on the process and what matters. The framework starts with developing a process map at a high level to understand the focus of the measurement, after which we define critical success factors and key performance questions. This ensures that we focus on metrics that will add value and drive action. Finally, it's important to determine the best way to report or display metric results in a format that makes it easy for the intended audience to answer their key performance questions. Approaching it this way allows one to align to and rely on metrics that really matter. Each of the steps in the metric framework is carefully documented in MCC materials in the Knowledge Center. You can see how the MCC materials fit in a toolkit structure as shown in this table. You'll see that there is an overview and implementation guide, an overview webinar, process maps, metrics workbook, and metric selection and implementation support tools. This is all available in each toolkit. So the first step in the framework involves process mapping. You will see this as an example in the MCC process map for central labs. Within a process map, there are colored dots that show the metrics and where they fit in the process. The color of the dots identifies the type of metrics as being associated with cycle time, quality, or timeliness. Each metric you see here is comprehensively defined in a workbook. The workbook shares comprehensive details about each metric. A table in the workbook is available for each of those metrics. The table includes identifying the critical success factor that is of interest. It also provides a metric description and key performance question. It also tells you the type of metric and reporting level. It gives you a consensus-driven performance target and a reporting frequency, as well as many other details. One is not expected to use all the metrics, but to select specific metrics that address the critical success factor and key performance questions of interest. In going to the metric selection tools section of the implementation guide, it gives you a description of each of those tools that are available in the toolkit to help you in selecting the metric that is going to be most important to you. So the metrics materials that we looked at, we were navigating through the use of the MCC catalog. You can also access the metric materials by going through this link or through this tile down here. When you do that, it takes you to this page where you can see all the topic areas where there are toolkits. When you go into a specific section, it will show you a collection of materials that include the metric toolkits, as well as give you links to information webinars and MCC communities that are focused on that topic area. We'll now look at the meeting calendar for all upcoming events. If you click on that box, it'll take you to a section that includes tables for all the different upcoming meetings, whether they are for the Leading Change Collaborative Forum, our leadership advisory boards, communities of practice, work groups, etc. You can also go to our AQC online community using this drop-down link. It will take you to this page, and you'll be given information around all of the new materials that are posted to the Knowledge Center through this AHA announcement section. We'll also notify you when there are changes to leading practice materials through our change control process, and we'll also seek out AQC member volunteers to conduct peer reviews of draft materials when they're available. We also have various interest groups that are available to our members where they're speaking to each other one-on-one and coming up with practical solutions to basic questions. This concludes the demo of the AQC Knowledge Center. If you have questions, email us at member.engagement@theavocagroup.com. Thank you.